Today we were looking at 10 skyrocketing sleepers to help you with your drafts and help you with the waiver wire going forward. We're looking at some of these deep plays in the double-digit rounds. These guys who are being overlooked, undervalued, that could really help your fantasy football team. But before we dig in, you have to click that subscribe button right now. Give it a click with the mouse. Tap it with the finger on your phone and stop missing out on this information that's only going to help you in season with the waiver wire, with trades, with setting lineups, and overall helping you win your fantasy league and build some lineups on DFS as well. But let's dig in here. First guy we're going to talk about today is Tank Bigsby, and he's fallen into double-digit rounds. Well, he's been there. He's a rookie, third-round pick from Auburn, but he's with the Jacksonville Jaguars. He's a handcuffed back. We're not expecting him to hit instantly here. However, when we're looking at pieces in the double-digit rounds, wide receivers, running backs, we want upside. How can we get upside here? How can we capture on these top-tier players who are going to blossom or might blossom that we want to gamble on to see what happens? One thing is we want them in powerful offenses. And we got Trevor Lawrence. We got the Jacksonville Jaguars. Sure, Travis Etienne is there. But maybe throughout the season we get a couple spike weeks out of Bigsby. Or if something happens to Travis Etienne, we have a backup running back here or a 1B running back. We'll find out once season starts that could be getting touches and could end up being valuable in fantasy. And you already have him on the back end of your depth chart here. You're looking at him for upside, an unknown rookie. The Jaguars said, hey, we think he's talented because this is a very talented running back class, and we want to draft him on day 2 of the NFL draft, even though we could probably wait into the 3rd day, 5th, 6th round, and still get a talented running back. We think Tank Bigsby can hold it down for us. We like him between the tackles. He can do a little bit of everything. You know what? He may not be the next Jonathan Taylor, but you know what? When he's on the field, he can help us move the chains, help keep us going. And over time, given enough opportunity, if things go his way, he could be fantasy relevant. We're talking about a player who was a high-end 4-star recruit coming out of high school, went to Auburn, played well, was productive, but played behind a bad offensive line, 3rd worst in the SEC last year per PFF, and it was a tough conference to play in. As everybody else says, Tank Bigsby has some talent, may not give you the specs of a Jonathan Taylor or Saquon Barkley, but this role, this offense could propel him if opportunity goes his way. Looking at our next guy here, Michael Thomas, wide receiver 46 in ADP, a sleeper because he's been sleeping on us these last few years due to being out with injury. But wheeling back to 2019, he was very productive, one of the top wide receivers in the league. Coming back from surgery, he says his body just didn't respond that well from it. And he comes back in the offseason every year, looks like he's healthy, looks like he's going to come back, and then things happen. Well, he's back now. He's looking like he's healthy. He's looking like he's going to be part of this offense. Now we got Derek Carr there. And the price tag here, wide receiver 50 range. And I say wide receiver 50 range because you're in your home league draft. We're looking at underdog best ball drafts. The leagues are going to be different, but it is also a good gauge if you really look at this with an open mind. So he's probably going to be wide receiver 50 or so, probably in your draft. People are going to be like, he gets hurt too much, this and that. The thing is, he's proven he can do it before. He's free. He's also in the part of the draft. When you look at wide receiver, there is nothing really credible or nothing really there that's going to be consistent. And if he comes back to anything of his old form, if this offense is pushing it downfield and he's getting some targets, he even proved last year he can give you some production, just that little tiny sample right there. But again, he's a player that could do it. He could do it, and he's shown it. He's shown it. And maybe he's back a little bit. I can't say he's going to be back to 2019. I think that's probably not going to happen. But he was a good player. He's very nuanced, good route runner, very sticky hands. And sometimes that old dog's got a couple tricks left up in their sleeve. And you're catching this old dog free out of the alley. It could be a great pet for your fantasy team. Next, we're looking at Zay Jones, wide receiver 58, even cheaper. And like we said before, we want to be tied to Trevor Lawrence. We want to be tied to explosive offenses. Zay Jones is going to be on the field. Calvin Ridley, I know we're all expecting him to go bonkers in this offense. Everybody is. Everyone's talking about it. And he was been drafted in the second round in ADP on Underdog Fantasy for like the last few weeks. But when you look at Zay Jones, we're seeing some things out of him. Wide receiver 31 in points per game. Right now he's being valued at wide receiver 58. He's on the field during preseason in 2 wide receiver sets. That is something you want to take note. Christian Kirk's in the slot. 12th in red zone targets, 17th in receptions. Has a rapport with Trevor Lawrence already. He has been productive in the league off and on throughout his career. Decent college profile as he was coming out for the draft. And he can give you a return on investment. That doesn't mean he's going to go nuclear. You're going to love that. But you're looking at these double-digit rounds. You're looking for a guy that might give you a run for a few weeks. You're looking at a guy here that could give you some opportunities, some spike games here off and on throughout the season. You're catching him free. Wide receiver 60 range. Wide receiver 60 range. About 60 wide receivers have come off the board before you pick Zay Jones. You're not expecting consistent upside. You're not expecting consistent production. You're expecting him to go off here and there. And if you get more, then that's going to be great. And you might get wide receiver 30 range in points per game, giving you a good return on investment. And you just got to make the right decisions with your lineup. And that might be just looking at the Vegas odds and hoping for the best there. But he's going to give you an opportunity there to really sneak away with a good wide receiver in the back end of your draft. Next, TYJAE Spears, RB53 in ADP. He's looked good in preseason, looked good at Tulane. He looked good in his final game at Tulane against USC. Go watch that game, or at least the highlights. Also at the Senior Bowl, he's looked good. He's looked good no matter where he's been at. Derrick Henry is remarkable. Great running back. Big banger. Stiff arm that will send people to hell. Gets a 45% opportunity share. What if something happens to him? If something happens to him, they may throw it a little bit more. They got DeAndre Hopkins, Treylon Burks as well. They could really lean on that, but they're not going to fully kill the run game because their offense is also built around that. So expect TYJAE Spears to be used. They did not draft him in the 3rd round, a day 2 pick in a deep running back class, so deep that you could really fade the running back position till the later rounds to not use him. And they're using him also as an insurance piece because he can be used between the tackles and he can be used in the passing game. The fact that they drafted a running back that can be used in the passing game tells us 2 things. You have a running back that you can use interchangeably with Henry, and then also, if something happens to Henry and we want to just roll on the passing game, we can do that because we got a pass-catching back who can also run it between the tackles. Go watch his tape from college. Let me show you that upside from there because that's all you need to see. Him at Tulane. Go watch that USC game. You're going to like that. He's been looking good in preseason. If he gets opportunity, he could really sneak up in value. Either as a huge trade piece or a guy that's giving you production, but you do not want to sleep on TYJAE Spears. Next, Sean Tucker, RB69. Might be on waivers. Might be one of your last draft picks. Really depends on how your league structure and what you want and who's there. Prolific running back coming out of Syracuse. We've talked about him a lot this offseason. I'm going to still talk about him because new people are coming to the channel. Very, very outstanding running back. If he did not have the heart condition that caused him to fall out of the draft, he would have been drafted in the mid-round, maybe even 2nd round of this year's draft. And the thing about that, you'd been already drafting him in the middle part of this draft. He might not even hit double-digit rounds because he would have been in a good situation. People have been speculating on him, gambling on him to see if they can hit on a rookie here. Now he's free, fell out of draft, and these talented rookies, these talented young players who showed that they can be talented or productive at a high level at the college game, who have something happen to them that caused them to fall out of the draft. Think of Justin Ross. They have to climb the depth chart, and he's been doing that already. There are reports in practice that he's working with the first team along with Rachaad White. He'll work one part of the series. White will work the other part. They'll flip in and out. Give him some time. Be patient with them. If you can't be patient with any of these players that we're talking about, you may want to just lean on veterans, especially some of these young rookies, because you're going to have to wait and watch the snap counts, watch the targets, watch the workload, and know when to move on, and you're going to have to do it quick in a hurry, probably before I can even get the video out. So honestly, if you can't do that, you may want to go to the veteran. However, Sean Tucker's got so much upside here that he could give you RB10 production on any given week for a good run of time because he's that talented But we just have to see if the opportunity happens, and we got to see if things can click for him. Next, MARVIN MIMS, wide receiver 59 in ADP. We got the JEUDY injury. It's on our hearts right now. But MARVIN MIMS could be that guy because his collegiate profile matches the top wide receivers in this class. You're catching him in the double-digit rounds and really should be drafted 9th, 10th round because the upside is there. I think in your home league, he's going to be a lot cheaper. You can wait a bit, but I think the ADP is very soft on him considering the upside. He had an age 19 breakout at Oklahoma, and he was just a few percentage points away from posting an age 18 breakout at Oklahoma. We're talking about market share and ownership of the passing production. Last year, he had a 32.72% market share of Oklahoma's passing production. He's been productive throughout his collegiate career. He's a deep threat, can get a good ADOT. All he has to do is reel in one catch, and you're getting good fantasy production. That one catch in his last preseason game was a 50-yard bomb, accounted for 6 fantasy points on that one play. So if you caught a couple extra balls, you're in double-digit fantasy points. Not counting whatever touchdowns come those way. JEUDY's going to eventually be back, but he screams air yards. He screams deep opportunity. He is cheap. Wide receiver 60 range. And young upside, second-round draft capital with good collegiate production, good tape from college, and also a good highlight package from college. Those two are two different things, believe it or not. Highlight shows the top ends, and then the tape you see play to play. Everything works out. Everything's consistent. He's a nuanced route runner, plays bigger than his size, good ball skills. The Broncos invest in the offensive line. Russell Wilson's going to have extra time to get the ball out. This could be a match made in heaven for MIMS. If you want a sleeper at tight end, look at JUWAN Johnson, tight end 17 in ADP. If you want to fade the position and still get a good get at tight end, a good gamble, this might be your guy because he has proven to get some workload here because he can stretch the field, get a good ADOT. We have Derek Carr here who's known for targeting tight ends. He's cheap upside, and if it doesn't work out, or if there's another tight end on waivers with a better matchup 2 weeks down the road, 3 weeks, 5 weeks down the road, then you can switch it out. There's no sunk cost involved. Also, if you're not paying up for the Kelseys, the Andrews, the other top tight ends, then you may want to fade the position and stream. Really depends on how you want to build your team. It's not best to draft 2 tight ends because how wonky the position is. The tight end 8 only scores a few more points than the tight end 25 anyways each week, and then there are a couple weeks out of every year that the tight end 8 through 10, 7 through 10, 10 through 12 don't even score double-digit fantasy points. Why put that much stock in the position when you can continue to gamble at running back and wide receiver? So if you want to go late, if you want to stream, and you want a tight end, this might be your guy. Next, JAYDEN Reed, wide receiver 71 in ADP. He's a second-round pick with a ton of upside. Broke out with 2 different collegiate programs. Western Michigan at age 18, then transferred to Michigan State, broke out again. That tells us he can transition quickly in a new system because he's done it twice. He done it from high school to college, leveling up, and then leveling up again to the Power 5, and then breaking out. So there's a good chance he can do it here, and we're already seeing signs of that. He's being used in the slot, working with the first team. We're seeing good highlights coming out, being productive in preseason. There's a lot of ambiguity in his offense. 239 vacated targets to float around. They might decrease or slow down the passing game, considering they're going from Rodgers to Love, and they got some good running backs. But still, wide receiver 71, a free chip, just in case you get a rookie breakout. Next is Zach Evans, RB 75 in ADP, and honestly, the odds of him breaking out are not good. They are not good. You got Cam Akers and Kyron Williams in front of him. He's been quiet this training camp, quiet this preseason. This is a name you need to watch on the waiver wire throughout the year. You need to know this name. And I'm talking now, but I'm talking for week 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, just in case the injury bug pops its head up. Because this guy was a big-time 5-star recruit, very explosive at TCU and Ole Miss, very efficient with the ball in his hands, moves well, 4.21 yards after contact per attempt last year. Cam Akers has had his injuries throughout his career as well. Kyron Williams, even if he becomes the starter, we might see Evans getting some workload. They might see what they have in Evans before they move on to another back. It's a guy that you need to pay attention to, and you need to know his name. If that happens, I will have a deep dive video on him that week. And if it continues to be a trendy topic, I'll keep doing it. That's why I have that You Need series, so you can get those deep dives. But Zach Evans is a guy you need to watch on the waiver wire this whole season. Even if nothing happens. Even if he just sits on the waiver wire, never gets any carries this year, you need to know who he is just in case. That's an insurance policy. You need to know who's on the waivers, who's that rookie who has that upside, who's that wide receiver who is just a couple targets away. Who is that guy? You need to know him. Next, JERICK McKinnon, and this is my super sleeper because I feel like he's being tremendously undervalued. One, he's on the Chiefs. Why are we letting players on the Chiefs just fall when there's jabroni players in front of them? And look, he's been productive in this offense, used in the passing game, and can be consistent compared to all the running backs in the NFL. He's up there in routes ran. He's running routes on this team. We also got a lot of ambiguity at the wide receiver position. There's a lot of wide receivers we like on this team, a lot of young guys with a lot of talent. But JERICK McKinnon, older running back, who is very athletic, who is one of the most athletic running backs in the NFL. At least that's what his testing number said from back in the day. Might be a little different now, but still got a lot of pop in the step. Very dependable and has proven to be productive and to be a workhorse or a very functional piece in this offense that could equate to production even as low-end weeks on the back half of the season. 10 points, 11 points, 14, 12, and then you got the upside. Of course, you got some downers, but that's part of the game here. RB42 seems very cheap. Very cheap. I love him in ZRB. I love him in Hero RB. I just love him as a back-end roster guy in general. But those are 10 skyrocketing super sleepers that you need to be looking at in your drafts, off waivers. You need to be strategizing around these guys. You need to learn to turn and burn with the waiver wire. Your last few picks should be upside plays. They should have a drag on the portfolio. And if they bust, it's kind of a good thing because that allows you to play the waiver wire more because you can win the league with the waiver wire. You do not win the league on draft day. You win the league throughout the season, and you need to put yourself in position to do so. And if you hit on the upside, then you got a grand player. So really, these players can't bust on you. You bust on the player. So you need to know and you need to strategize on these guys and know how they can win at the NFL level. We're here to help you do so. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. Let me know what sleepers you're looking for in your drafts or who you draft. I want to hear about it. I want to thank you for watching. Catch you on the next video.